All right, hey everybody. It's almost 4:20 and Stevie, Redneckonomics King and I woke up and I had an idea for a live stream which is talking to Stevie about organizing locally because I know that Stevie, a lot of what Stevie has done in the past is talk about local West Virginia issues. I have dabbled a little bit in my local issues on Long Island, but I want to get more involved locally. And I have an issue, and I know Stevie has a little bit of an issue. I think Stevie, you've done more locally. The local stuff that I've done is through my union, but just talk about how you have reached out to local groups and local people, and some of the challenges and some of the issues that you've had trying to get it done.
I'd still I'm still working on it
Yeah,
because it's weird here because you can't just organize one way or the other. There's some people that have to depend on internet because they don't get to make it out,
right,
into the city. And then there's other people that can't use the internet because a lot of people around here don't have it. So
right.
there's also another problem with, age gap between, because there's some young people, but there's a lot of older people, and the differences, and so there's a lot of stuff that's complicates it. But so far, I've just been going out, just even if it's just in the store, just chatting somebody up, just start talking to people. I mean, the worst thing that they're going to say is, "No, I'm not political," or, "Oh no, I'm too busy," or whatever. But also, subreddit groups for your state is another good way to meet your people. Just any kind of forum where there's other people in your state that you can talk to
Yeah,
in your area.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna get
still
I'm gonna
have no
check out
idea how
this.
to do this.
I'm gonna check out the subreddit groups. What I wanted to what I wanted to suggest for you and for me is to reach out through the internet. I'm going to do a really brief video saying, "Hey, how you doing?" and an introduction video, but solely for the Long Island groups. Let them know where I'm at. Let them know that I'm on the South Shore of Long Island, Suffolk County, um, and tell them a little bit about myself and the fact that I want to get involved and what I want to do. Um, I actually, when I was on the road, I called the Long Island Pine Barrens, and the guy that I was speaking to, he didn't know what to do with himself, and he didn't know what to do with me. He was like, "Well, I don't know." So I don't know. Sometimes they don't know, other than if it's in a meeting, how to really handle it. The problem that I have, and you mentioned off camera about Facebook and different meetings and groups and things of that nature. I I have a different issue because I work nights, and a lot of the stuff that goes on, either it's a rally in New York City, which takes me a while to get there, and it's at 7 o'clock in the morning. There's no way, because I don't get to sleep until about 5, and there's no way that I'm gonna go to work and go to a 7 o'clock rally. And a lot of times I have doctor's appointments and stuff in the middle of the day too. So that's out of the question. And I work nights, so any evening, the scheduling is very tight, and it's tough enough for me to schedule an interview with a political figure or with an activist or whatever. It has to pretty much be in the afternoon, and a lot of times people have their kids or whatever. So I'm thinking of reaching out through my channel. Subreddits, I didn't even think of subreddits because to me, Reddit kind of seems subversive. Maybe that's the age gap. You and your young whippersnappers and your Reddit and your Periscope and your, whatever. Um, and your, what I can't even think of platforms right now. I'm just too damn old. But
No, I mean, you do have to be careful with Reddit. There's a lot of, you know, action groups or these, you know, bots and stuff. I've seen it.
okay,
So you have to be careful. But if when you get that, that's mostly for like the front page and stuff. But once you get into these little tinier, you know, subreddits, it's a little bit more freer, you know,
right.
not non-bots. But it's just definitely something to keep in mind.
Now I took hours out of my life just to go to a local town hall in Lowell, Massachusetts, and you spoke of the gender, or not the gender gap, sorry, the age gap.
Mm-hmm.
There were 20-some-year-olds talking actively with 60 and 70-year-olds, and that impressed me because if you are energized enough, you don't care who you're talking to. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of energizing people. I see on Long Island, it's tougher because it's easier when everybody's out of work because you don't have to worry about schedules. And I'm tired all the time. And it's one thing when you're energized to do this. It's another thing trying to get people to want to do it. And they have kids. I don't have kids. They have kids. They have jobs. They have 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and it's tough for them to get the time. And when you do get them in a meeting, you better be spot the hell on, because if you bore them, it's over, and they're not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're wasting my time. So
Yeah.
and when you talk to, first off, me talking to somebody in a supermarket with my look, I'm cute, but I'm not that cute.
You're snackish.
I'm snackish, whatever the hell that means. So, you got to be careful looking like me. You have to gauge what people's buttons are and kind of know them on Long Island before you talk to them, or like get them in a group where they're already there. I can't really talk to somebody in a library unless they're in a meeting or something. So
yeah, it's definitely way different up there.
Yeah.
Like here, it's rude if you don't say hi when you're walking, down the road and you run against somebody and you don't even know them. You just walking past them. If you don't wave to them and say hi, that's incredibly rude. And in most other states, it's like, you say hi to somebody, you're like, why the fuck are you talking to me? Like, what?
Right. Well, that's West Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky and Ohio, not so much. But that's the other thing. You have to know, like, if you move into a state, you have to know the social structure. So I pretty much know, after 20 years, I know the social structure here. And a lot of people, it's police groups, teachers groups, union groups. That's how you organize, and local neighborhood groups. But they are really, really focused on certain issues, whether street signs or whatever it is. So,
But see, this is what's so good about this. I mean, you've got some people that they can show up to the protests, they can show up to the town halls. They have the schedule or the means to do that. There's other people that are really great at, making signs. There's people that are great at interviews. So I think it's just a matter of assembling your team, of people.
Right. And if anybody on Long Island sees this, I'm great at doing this. Sitting on my butt, eating a Cliff Bar, talking to people, talking to Stevie King and other people about this. Apparently, I have a personality. Who knew? I didn't know. But yeah, that's the other thing. When you are trying to have a local group, or locally organized, know how to use the people that come to you, and know how to identify yourself. I immediately, when I go to a political group, I tell them, My name's Dave Denton. I have been a union organizer and union rep for a decade. I have some research experience, but I'm a federal worker. I can't do this. I can't do that. But I can do this. I can definitely do
Mhm.
research for you. I'm on YouTube. Check my channel out. Blah blah blah. So when you're looking for a group, know how to identify yourself, and when you are organizing a group, definitely know how to plug in people. Don't go, oh, he can't help us. He can't fundraise. That
If
cut you
anybody
by the
is
knees.
willing to do the work, there's a place for them. I don't
Absolutely.
care if it's writing down notes as everybody's talking, or just sharing information, emailing contact. I mean, there's just so much out there that needs to be
Right.
done. That's why I always say, like, even if everybody just did like a tiny little bit, it wouldn't be so bad. The
Unless
problem
I,
is when it's falling on
yeah,
just several people to do all the work.
unless I come to your group and say, okay, my skills are eating brownies and smoking pot. No, maybe you can cook, dude. I don't know. We'll find something for you.
Yeah, yeah. You can just bring the brownies to next meeting. That's your job.
Everybody has something. Um, yeah, and I have this is kind of the let's go off the rails for a second moment. I already know it. I don't know what timestamp this is, but this is where you're more plugged into the younger people, I think. But what drives me crazy is that people with a I swear I sat down with somebody last night at my job, and they literally said in front of a supervisor, "Adulting is hard." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is, but you have to do it. You have to be. You have to come to work." That's another thing. When you organize meetings and things, you have to speak to people because I had a situation in which um, I was involved with a group and my union work just blew up, and I told them, look, I can't work with you guys right now. Just be honest with who you're working with. If 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 life situations come up or other work situations come up to where you can't do the things that you're saying you can do, all of a sudden just communicate. And most uh, groups like that will understand. And I have to give kudos to my group, the Incorruptibles and Anna Callahan and Liz and all of those guys, because they know that I really want to help. But back in July, I just got bombarded with work, so I don't know if they're going to hear that. But also, plug in people who really want to put in the work. And if they don't want to put in the work, you have to have that conversation before you let them go. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a project to do, I think. So what I want to do, you're way more plugged in to your situation than I am, and I know we have a fantastic group of people, and I'm growing. Most of what I do is I'm reaching out to people, through the internet, and I've met a ton of fantastic people so far, but none of them are local,
Mm-hmm.
except for Pauline Salati, the Green Party chair, and it's tough to meet with those guys simply because of the time schedule. But I'm gonna meet with you guys. I want to meet with you guys. I know James Young of Montauk. He's done a lot of organizing. Um, so, but he is primarily through the Green Party. I want to do more nonpartisan work if I can. I don't necessarily want to do it through the Democrats, Republicans, or Greens. I want to do it through local groups,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if
Yeah,
and
and that's one of the first things that you have to do what you were saying earlier is just you have to get to know the people that you want to organize. So it's a matter of knowing how the people operate in your community, getting to know what's important to them, because there's several different issues that you can fight on, but once you kind of I mean that's kind of where I'm at. I was so kind of cut off from most of the people here that I had to get back into the community and get to know it all over again, because the last time I went out and was talking to people, it's totally different now. The attitudes and stuff have changed. So that was step one. And then step two is just going out there and saying, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm here to help.
Right, exactly.
I'm just like, I don't know. Here's my skills. I can type and I can talk.
Right.
So.
Do you need me to drive you to the train station? Do you need me to take your stuff? What do you need me to do? So before we go, just out of curiosity, I've talked to you enough to know what your hot button topics are, but for anyone who has not listened to Stevie King before or listened to me before, which I would be very impressed at people at 4:30 in the afternoon to come onto this channel and go, who the hell are these guys? What are they? And what are they like? So anybody, this is our forum to introduce ourselves and our hot topics. So I know you don't give a crap about the environment, but what are your top? I'm being sarcastic. What are your top 3 or 4 issues?
Election reform.
Okay.
Healthcare reform, and money in politics, probably.
What about education? Because I know.
Oh, education, yeah.
Okay. And we're going to talk about that at some point. But
yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Mine have to be the environment. Obviously, labor issues. Labor issues would probably be number 1. And how to organize the public to fight all of the corruption. It's not just, you can't say corruption's a big issue. We have to be able to have these conversations and find a strategy and find a way to fight these bastards.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what the same progressive says. It's all about building the individual at this point, because we have the power. We could change this.
Right.
It's the fact that people don't feel like they have that power, or whatever it is. So once we make people a little bit better, maybe we can a little bit healthier, because we don't live in a healthy place.
I disagree with you.
Physically.
I vehemently. Yeah, exactly. And right now, we're just trying to keep ourselves together and not fall apart. Where, to me, I always think of stuff in a labor sense. The public is in a position of weakness right now. We have to build ourselves to a position of strength so that we can, I understand you guys are going to, some of you are going to think I'm incrementalist, but this is somewhat about negotiation until we get strong enough to where we can truly fight these bastards. We're not going to be able to just say no all the time and get everything we want. We've done that for how many years? It worked somewhat in the 60s. But what did the Occupy movement really accomplish other than people finding each other? What specific issue was won through the Occupy movement? I don't know of one.
Well, I mean, it's a building process, because of people got to meet each other. People, really demonstrated how well the government can crack out on those who, dissent. So,
Right.
and seeing all that out in the open did wake a lot of people up to wanting to help or what the situation is. I mean, if it wasn't for Occupy, you wouldn't have had a Bernie, and without a Bernie, you wouldn't have had all these healthcare rallies. You wouldn't have me, So it's like I'd still be playing video games and.
We would have had you, but we would have had Fox News you, and I don't know.
Oh God!
Now,
I believe in my Confederate flag. Now, why y'all trying to take my history away?
Now, anybody that just heard me, let me clarify. I'm not saying that Occupy did nothing. I know that in New York City, in Philadelphia, in a lot of the urban areas, there have been a lot of reform and with housing and that kind of thing. And you're absolutely right. It has become more mainstream, but we have to be careful because the more national it gets, the more visible it gets, and the more suppressed we could potentially become. If you look at everything that's going on, and you look at what's been going on with Susie Dawson, and going back to that, and Julian Assange, and Edward Snowden, and all the people who are trying to bring truth to light, the more vocal people are, the more vulnerable they become. The more power that we get, the more visible we are. And we give away some of our elements of surprise. Let's put it that way too. So we can't. Everybody's talking about a revolution. This stuff takes time. It really does.
Yeah.
But we do got to get out of bed. I think I'm hitting the snooze button right now. So that's pretty much all I got. Just for giggles, let's see if anybody's on. Come on. Na, 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 na. Ah, here we go. So, Occupy Lancaster. Many positive secondary effects. That's what I was stating before. I do agree. Occupy wasn't completely in vain. I do agree with that. We need more education for better physicists. Snork is saying he's just an amateur. God help me. If he's just an amateur, I want to see the professionals. Just like floating brains out there.
Yeah,
but we can't build Rome in a day. So, and I just started messing up my hair. So on that note, I'm gonna shut down. If you want to, what did I just do? Oh, there we go. If you want to hang out and chat for a little bit longer, that's cool, because I want to talk to you about a thing or two off camera, so I don't ramble too much on camera. But thanks everybody for coming. Hopefully, Stevie and I can do this a little more on a regular basis. We're still trying to figure it out, but most of the time what happens is I wake up, I come up with an idea, and I'm like, Stevie, are you up? Yeah, cool, all right. And we go on. So that's not really how you organize, but sometimes that's just how it works out. So thanks everybody for coming on. How long did we go on this time?
I don't know.
I'll take it. Hopefully it's less than like 20 minutes, a half hour, but
yeah, we were on here about 20 minutes because we started around 4:20.
That's about everybody's attention span, so that's perfect. We will talk to you. We go on after hours, and with Eben and with Ryan from Australia, by the way. He hasn't been getting much buzz, so go on with him. He's on about the same time as I am sometimes, and Monotalk, of course, with James. But we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.